let's take a look at some of the most violent places on earth. We can start with the Caribbean and Latin America. Let's talk about El Salvador, Nicaragua. We could come up to Guatemala, Mexico, right? Haiti is in a different class of its own. We already understand the history of why Haiti is the way it is. But let's look at those nations that I previously named and the level of violence that was in those countries. And let's take El Salvador out. A new president came in, Berkeley, and yes, he had implemented some underhanded tactics. But guess what? The people celebrated that by and large. They celebrated the mass reduction in violent homicides. All right? The people did, and they have. Now women are able to push strollers with their children and go about their business, and they're celebrating. They're not looking at the sausage making, they're looking at the sausage. So let's talk about our country, Jamaica. Why is it, we gotta ask, that whenever the police do what they have to do, and I'm not talking about underhanded methods, but whenever the police do what they have to do, there's this huge hue and cry from all subsections, almost, of the society. What kind of nation is this? What kind of people is this that celebrate criminals, these vicious thugs who, without any kind of equivocation or any fear or care at all, just go out and just take lives as if it's nothing? In fact, they take lives because it adds to their street creds. But there are always people celebrating these vermin. Well, I have never seen a country like this. In most nations, people are calling for the police to step up operations against criminals. Not in Jamaica. Now, arguably, there are a few people who may step forward and speak out and say, yes, this criminality needs to be brought under control. But by and large, man, I don't know. It's just, it's a complete mystery to me. Even at the highest levels of the society, there are people supporting these people. And so we have to conclude that these people are benefiting from the guns and the mayhem and the homicides. They're benefiting. Yeah, they are benefiting. Whether they live overseas in the diaspora or they are in Jamaica. And listen, I applaud the police for the gains they're making. And I understand the government has given them some support. But there's still a lot to be done from the government in terms of rooting out the corruption that is in the society. Also in some sections of the police department as well. Yes, because as we saw, there are, as many people will argue too, there are police officers still involved with the criminals. And that in itself is part of the reason why a lot of the people do not trust to give the police information. There's some part of the security apparatus that they don't mind supporting or giving information to because they feel comfortable, namely CTAC. But this ought to be across the entire spectrum. And I understand there are avenues for people to give information if they want to the police, and they can do it anonymously. But a lot of people still don't trust that information will be treated with the degree of security that it deserves. And so, you know, the police department has a long road to hoe to gain trust. I don't know how that is going to be done, because there are far too many people and NGOs in our country that are actively supporting the criminality in our country. And the shocking thing that has always been a part of my thought process is, do these people not realize that the crime and the violence literally is taken away from their quality of life and their ability to live and to make a living for themselves and their families. I'm just like exasperated, completely exasperated, man. I really am. To the point where, like, you see, I can't tell them on the people I've spoken to who live abroad, who would like to return to live to Jamaica and live in Jamaica, but they're like, no, I can't do it. The gang activities, the extortion, and the other violent crimes, I can't. Because yes, the police are trying, but they have a long way to go. And in many cases, they are operating in a vacuum. They are operating on their own. I give this government some credit, but the other party doesn't seem to care. And I've challenged the PNP to step forward. At least it doesn't require much. Step forward and say, hey, there is no place in our party for criminals. There's no place in our party for the support of criminals. You're never going to hear that. You're never going to hear that. Because there are far too many people in high places waiting to govern, and who are in government who are still attached to criminals. I don't know where this ends. I'll be talking to you some more about this.